Arriba, arriba! Alex. Anyway, what's good, everybody? It's your friend in the neighborhood Taco swinging back at you with another video. Today I got you guys something very, very special. This is going to be the one and only time I do this on my channel. It's a glorious one-shot. What if Deku had a harem? Yes, yes, yes. We're actually sticking our feet into this, and we're doing this. Before, I was going to say, you know what, let me drop these guys. What if Boa married Izuku? But no, we're doing this instead, and I'm actually very, very excited for it. By the way, I've never done anything like this before. I've done a quirk marriage story, but the part 2 on that didn't really work out, so I don't even really know how to do them properly. So I'm just gonna go ahead and wing it. So yeah, if you guys really like this video and you want to see more like this, you already know what to do. Lick that like button, shine your lovely rays upon the subscribe button, and crunch those comments. Let's get right into it. And as soon as we hit 400 subscribers, you'll get another video just like this. So we're gonna start off with our protagonist, Izuku Midoriya. He's actually going to be building his entire harem the second that he hits high school. Now, of course, I know of a little comic book out there called What If Deku Had a Harem, and it's more of on the graphic side. We're not going to include anything like that here. Izuku is not going to be doing anything graphic or anything like that. He's just going to be developing these relationships with these different girls as he goes through high school. So starting off, the first person that he would meet and develop a relationship with would be Uraraka. Just like in canon, they meet and Izuku goes through everything like he would. But due to his new strange powers of attraction, Uraraka falls in love with Izuku 2 weeks into their entire stay at UA. Anytime you would see Izuku, you could always bet on seeing Uraraka tagging along with him. But Izuku and Uraraka never claimed to be attached in any sort of way. Uraraka became so clinged onto Izuku because of some words that he had said to her. He constantly complimented her. Izuku was just being a really nice and outgoing person, but Uraraka saw that as him coming out and admitting to her that he liked her. He would say things like, "You're beautiful," and in this version of the entire canon, Izuku was a lot more of a outgoing and confident kid. He said whatever was really on his mind, especially when it comes to, you know, his female friends, because he knows that they would love the compliment, and he continually does that, eventually becoming good friends with a lot of the other girls in the school. But that's beyond the point, as we're focusing on Uraraka right now for the time being. So with the entire debacle that goes on, besides the quirk apprehension test, with the thing where they have to go in and pretend that they're villains and stop that rocket, I forgot what it's exactly called, Uraraka would actually listen to Deku wholeheartedly, and she would offer to be the decoy this time, instead letting Deku do whatever the hell he wants to behind the scenes. Uraraka would let Izuku go behind the scenes and take on Ida one-on-one, where Izuku would somehow sneak his way past that. Meanwhile, all that's going on, Uraraka would unfortunately run into Bakugo, and this is where we see things take a sad turn, as Bakugo ruthlessly slams Uraraka into the ground and then refocuses on Izuku. Eventually, he stops Izuku before they could touch the rocket, and due to Uraraka's outgoingness and her willingness to put herself on display for her, love Izuku, the entire thing backfires in their faces, causing their entire plan to whimper weakly. And after that happens, Izuku becomes more of a take charge person. He was the person that was going to set the plan. He was the person that was going to do everything, and that would make him more of a manly guy. And as such, keeping his still confidentness and his now new manly persona, merging the two would make him an ultimate alpha, attracting any piece of putang that came along his way. I'm having a lot of fun with this, but after this entire debacle with Uraraka, we move past all of that and we skip towards the USJ. Now, in the USJ, just like in canon, he is paired up with Tsuyu, where we'll see their relationship develop. Now, Izuku and Tsuyu, they develop a close relationship as Izuku is stunned by her quirk, and Tsuyu had never heard somebody speak of her quirk like this before, in such a manner, telling her that she thought that her ability to use her tongue was amazing, and her physical body was in great shape. He constantly complimented her on the size of her legs and the strength of her jumping. He said that he'd never seen someone who had this mixed match of powerful kicks and long range tactician that she had, and was always constantly pressuring her. Mineta didn't like this, as he saw this as Izuku sneaking his way in on another girl in the class. But Izuku just saw this as some playful, friendly compliments, blind to the fact that Tsuyu was actually taken aback by all this. Tsuyu at first didn't really understand what Izuku was doing and actually felt really awkward and nervous about the entire situation until the attacks happened. And when they did, Izuku would grab Tsuyu, making sure that she was safe first of all, and then he would secure Mineta, where they would make their plan, just like in canon. But however, this time Izuku would end up being the savior, taking both Mineta and Tsuyu away. He would grab Tsuyu by her waist, and they would swim towards the shore. As they did that, when they popped out of the water, soaking wet, Izuku would look into Tsuyu's eyes and ask her if she was okay. And from that moment on, she knew she was in love. Beyond that, Izuku's amazing powers of attraction would give him no upper hand in his battle with the Nomu, as the Nomu set its sights on his teacher and breaking his arm, his leg, and smashing his head into the ground. We're going to say that Nomu reattached its sights onto a new target. That target would be Tsuyu. As it blasted off towards Izuku's new friend, Izuku got in the way and let off a 100% smash towards the Nomu. His powers of just being a good friend, but in Tsuyu's eyes, love, had caused him to do the most crazy thing he could possibly do. He had blown the half of the Nomu's side off, and it was regenerating, but it was doing it pretty slowly, giving Izuku another chance to strike. He looked back at Tsuyu, coming up with a plan quickly, telling her to wrap her tongue around him. She was taken aback at this, nervous, because, this was something weird to ask after someone who had just kind of fallen in love with you. You're gonna ask him to wrap their tongue around you? Wink, wink. As we do that, she swings Izuku in the air, and Izuku comes back down with another 100% smash with his other arm, breaking that arm completely. He had hit the Nomu on its other side, leaving it completely shattered on both sides. Shigaraki would see this and look back at the portal guy. Keep on forgetting his name, but he's an important character. I should probably remember it. Looking back at the portal guy, he looks at Izuku and says, "This kid, he reminds me of someone. Yeah, All Might. Yeah. So, kid, you think you're a hero? I am a hero." Izuku stands with both of his arms shattered. They are hanging, not able to move. Tsuyu then steps up, saying, "Leave him alone." "No, Tsuyu, I got this." Izuku then runs back towards the Nomu as it's still regenerating. Since both of its sides are completely shattered, it's left defenseless. He runs and powers up his left leg, getting ready for a kick. When he does, all of a sudden a portal opens up and Shigaraki gets in between them. Izuku, seeing that Shigaraki has the touch of decay from what he did to, of course, his sensei, had made sure to not get touched. But he did. He touched Izuku's leg, and his leg started to slowly smother away. His skin turned into crystals, and they faded. But soon as Shigaraki touched him, his one for all kicked in. Shigaraki's fingers got completely crushed. Luckily for him, he snuck through the portal quickly. His left arm was completely damaged. That one kick could have easily killed Shigaraki if he wasn't careful. Izuku fell on the ground, his left leg now broken and decayed. "Ah!" he screamed out, and Tsuyu ran over to save him. Meanwhile, all that was going down, Shigaraki was too injured to continue, and the Nomu was slowly developing. This wasn't a good situation at all. Shigaraki would look back at the portal man, and they would decide on a strategical retreat. Taking their Nomu, they would escape alone, leaving the rest of the villains to be taken out by those new heroes in training. Izuku had saved the day, all for his accidental love of Tsuyu. Moving beyond this, we see Izuku now transfer into a new setting. Of course, he was going to have to do the entire thing with the quirk training, where each hero would be paired up with another person. Is that what happens before, or after the UA Sports Festival. Let me see. Do we go to the UA Sports Festival? I don't know. I'm doing this without a script. I'm gonna say that after this, we have the UA Sports Festival. But yeah, we're gonna go directly towards UA Sports Festival. If there's anything in between that, let me know in the comments, guys. I feel really bad and I'd feel horrible if I missed anything really important. So let me know. So we're skipping past the entire USJ incident and getting directly towards the UA Sports Festival. By this time, Izuku had two girls hanging on his very whim. Uraraka on his right, and Tsuyu on his left. They were the two founding members of what would become Izuku's future harem. And his next girl, the next person on his list, would questionably be Mei Hatsume, the Class 1H student and the gadget hero, the one who would create all the gadgets for everybody in UA. She was the best support hero in the entire classes, and she would now become a new part of Izuku's growing harem, and really turn this threesome into something greater. So now we are at the UA Sports Festival, and Izuku makes his impression on Mei when they are lining up for the race. He immediately sees that Mei is a gadget user and compliments her, saying that her gadgets look absolutely stunning, and he can't wait to see them in action. This grabs Mei's attention, saying, "You know a thing or two about these?" And Izuku actually replies with, "Yes, I study them all the time because, you know, my quirk is actually really damaging to my own body. So eventually I'm going to have to develop some gadgets of my own to probably help me diversify my skill set and power. How good are you at creating these? Could you make me one or two?" Mei shakes her head and says, "Yeah, I love these babies." "Babies? Is that what you call them?" "Yeah, they're like my kids." "Oh, that's amazing. I would love for you to have one of my kids." "Wait, what?" The race starts. Izuku didn't mean it that way, but Mei was taken aback by what he said. And he was completely talking about his gadgets. Come on, guys. Let's keep it appropriate. They're still in high school. And we go beyond all of this. I'm so weird. We go beyond all of this, and the entire race happens, and Izuku, like in canon, pops up in first place. This stuns Mei, and she sees him walking back towards his side of the entire arena as they're preparing for their next matches. She then approaches Izuku saying, "What did you mean by that?" Earlier? Sorry if that sounded weird. I just meant I would love to, you to have, time to work on some gadgets with me. Maybe we could work on them together, just me and you in the lab, thinking things out." Mei would put her hand behind her shoulder, and she never felt like this before, especially now when talking about gadgets. She shook her head. "Yes, we could do that. Just me and you." "Yeah, just me and you. Working on some stuff together. Anyway, I gotta prepare for the next round. I'll see you around. Yeah?" "Yeah," she says. And this kind of just is like the end of their entire real interactions. After the next two rounds, the real fight begins. And after Mei showcases her amazing weapons and the battle part of the entire sports festival, Izuku would come over and congratulate her, actually grabbing her by her wrist, saying, "That was super cool. You have great potential. I can't wait for us to work together." And then he walked away. Mei would touch her wrists, holding them close to her chest. She was in love. So everything pretty much goes like in canon beyond that point. Izuku figuring out what he can do with his fingers. He's definitely gonna figure that out. And everything like that. He still loses to Todoroki because, he becomes so injured that he can't go on, and bloody, and the next round starts. And after that, Izuku actually lives up to his word. Seeing Mei as they're leaving the sports festival, he says, "I'll come around to Class 1H one of these days. You promise you'll meet me there, right?" And she shakes her head. Throughout the entire next week, she was waiting for Izuku to stumble upon her class. He didn't come around until around midweek on a Wednesday, a late afternoon at that. He walks up with Tsuyu and Uraraka in tow. He then tells them that he will meet them later. They were actually kind of pissed. Tsuyu then says, "Oh, you're gonna go with her." Uraraka pulls Tsuyu aside and they walk away awkwardly. Who are they? Mei says. Oh, just my friends. Anyway, let's get to this work, shall we? And he and Mei actually sit down together for 2 whole hours, having intriguing conversations while working on gadgets. In this entire thing, Izuku finds a way that he could actually reduce his punch pressure. Instead of having one for all 100% absolutely power up and destroy his limb, what he could do was have one for all in his finger. Doing it like that would only break one of his fingers, but this new punch weapon that she had developed would take the same power from one finger and transfer it for his entire fist. So say if he was using 100% in one finger, he could transfer that 100%, spread it across his entire fist, and turn that into 10% of one for all in his fist overall. Each finger was 10%, so 5 fingers means 50%. And he's not powering up his forearm itself, which is another 50. So if he could power up all 5 fingers and shatter them all at one time, that would be equivalent to a 50% one for all smash, something that he just couldn't do at the time. It was amazing, an amazing gadget, and they continued testing it out in the future. Before you knew it, they were going through multiple tests, multiple days, which led to Mei tagging on to the rest of their gang as well. Izuku's number is now up to 3. As we move on to the next girl, who actually is a member from his class, Momo Yaoyorozu. She is the smartest person in class and got in on a recommendation. Her quirk is very versatile, and she herself is a pretty powerful hero in training. Izuku would find out a lot more about Mei when, unlike in canon, instead of him and Bakugo being partnered up against All Might, it was he and Yaoyorozu. Bakugo would now be partnered up with Todoroki, where they would go up against Eraserhead. Meanwhile, Yaoyorozu and Deku, the 2 smartest kids in class combined, would make a genius pairing and would have no chemistry issues. So we're gonna say that Yaoyorozu and Izuku come up with a plan to stop All Might. While planning, Izuku continually tells Yaoyorozu how smart he thinks she is, and tells her that her outfit is just absolutely stunning. He said that it's kind of making him nervous looking at her. She laughs at this funny comment as Izuku continually goes on and telling her more about himself and everything else. As they approach All Might, the entire class watches them on the big screen. And what they saw was absolute magic in the work. Izuku and Yaoyorozu's pairing worked so well, with Izuku's new support gadgets that he got from Mei Hatsume giving him a decent upper leg. He was able to actually fight with All Might. Now, All Might, if he was taking this serious, could have just flicked Izuku to the side. Being 100% with you, Izuku's fighting technique, well, it was amateurish to say the least. But with Momo Yaoyorozu behind him, he created a smart tactic. He had let her make a cannon, which then she shot at All Might, causing him to dodge. Meanwhile, as she did that, Izuku powered up his fingers, shattering 3 of them, giving him 30% blast. As he did that, he grabbed Yaoyorozu, sticking him close to her body. Her bosom was all up on his chest, and they blasted off, using 30% of one for all towards the finish line. That got them around 75% there, which then they would fall on the ground. Yaoyorozu was exhausted, making that cannon had taken a lot of his power, and she laid on the ground as Izuku ran. All Might would burst over to them, catching up with them quickly. As All Might was on their tails, Yaoyorozu still on the floor. Izuku had to run back. He was already close to the finish line, but he couldn't leave his partner there. They were going to have to make it together or not at all. He picked her up, and they limped towards the finish line, where All Might was just behind them. As they crossed, a sound of the horn went off, claiming them the victors. They had won, and Yaoyorozu would smile at Izuku. They were now bonded. She had become the 4th member of Izuku's growing harem. The last person that would be added so far into this entire harem would create a nice big number of 5, and that would be Mina, the acid hero. As all the kids now approached their UA training programs, Mina would be stuck with nowhere to go, which then Izuku had offered her a place. He himself wasn't sure where he was going, but he felt like he couldn't just leave one of his classmates alone, especially a girl like Mina. She could have ended up anywhere, honestly, but paired up with Izuku, she goes towards Gran Torino, a great hero who could teach her a lot of fighting techniques and make her more of a versatile hero. As she does so, Izuku and her actually bond over their entire time. She tells Izuku about how she controls her acid percentage boost, because honestly, her acid is enough to seriously damage someone's skin, but she can make it be enough to just tingle someone, and she demonstrates that on Izuku, touching him on his hand, causing that to tingle. As that tingles in Izuku, he actually felt his heart throb, and completely fawns over Mina. It was the first time where the roles were reversed. He was obsessed with Mina, and they grew together as partners and as heroes. Izuku would learn how to use a one-for-all shoot style, taking both Mina's practices and Gran Torino's wisdom in account. He actually was able to power it up even more, telling Izuku that she really uses it more on a pH scale, thinking about the pH scale from 14 to all the way to 3. That's how intense her acid could really be. So Izuku imagines his power on a scale like that, from 100 to 0, and as such, he can really see himself pushing it towards the 100 mark, and honestly it helps him jump all the way up from 5 to 10% what it would be originally to 20%. He was able to hold it around where 5 would be on Mina's pH scale. Mina would congratulate him with a tingly kiss on his cheek, and that would leave Izuku absolutely fawning over her. When they returned back to UA, Izuku now had 5 girls until his harem had officially begun. Anyway guys, that's where I'm going to be ending this. I don't really want to go on about this harem thing anymore. Honestly, if you guys really enjoy this, I don't know, I'll make another part. But this was mostly just a one-shot and a joke video. Thank you so much for 300 subscribers. We hit that in what, a couple of days after we hit 200? Not even a full week. Let's keep this going, guys. Let's burst past this 400 mark, and then let's hit 500. After that, we can really start making some waves again. I'm going to start posting some AUs on this channel. The first AU I'm going to start with is going to be an MHAU, just to test the waters. It's going to be focused around a certain group of heroes. It's going to be called MHA Burning Bright. I'll tell you more about it when it's really time for it to be released, but it's an AU with over 12 chapters, and it's really known around the fandom community. If you guys know about MHA Burning Bright and you want me to bring it to the channel, let me know. Even if you don't know, I'll bring it to the channel. It features people like Katsuki Bako, New Generation, Shoko, Todoroki's daughter, plus Ultra, and Ina Himiko, who was another integral part of this story. It focuses around a main character who has no quirk, just like Izuku. And yeah, you really should you're really gonna love this story when I bring it to you. Thank every single one of you. Let's get towards the outro. I just want to say, you guys are the light in my day. So if you could shine your lovely rays upon that subscribe button, lick that like button, and crunch those comments, that would be very much appreciated. It's your boy Taka What Ifs, and I will see you in the future.
She like yaddy yaya, she like yaddy yaya. Bitch, I'm rooting for ya. Bitch, I'm rooting for ya. She like yaddy yaya, she like yaddy yaya. Bitch, I'm rooting for ya. Bitch, I'm rooting for ya. Bitch, I'ma break the bank. Bitch, I'ma break the bank. Bitch, I'ma break the bank. Bitch, I'ma run at the check. Bitch, I'ma ball like a ref. Bitch, I'ma ball like a ref. She bout to get this on that. Nigga, they mad and not like me. Shut she back, wanna be on my team. Photo the gap, bitch, I'm going to speed. Bitch, I got a Glock and it came with a beat. Bitch, I'ma break the bank. Bitch, I'ma break the bank. Bitch, I'ma break the bank. Bitch, I'ma break